like almost a year. So I thought that song really summed it up nicely. Okay. I know you guys didn't, so I'm going to give you one. Little something you need for class. Does anybody did not get one of these? I got one left. The highest bidder. It's that little booklet. I think you guys got one. Yeah. Okay. All right. We have a number of people that are not here this morning, which I expected. But last week I asked you to take a look at your little booklet, and I hope that you did have a chance. Before we jump into that, though, I wanted to just kind of give us, or take some time just to reflect on, obviously, some of the things that we have been discussing about heaven, and maybe some of the thoughts that you've developed over this period of time. But there was one thing, or a couple things I wanted to just kind of focus our perspective on as far as heaven is concerned. And actually, I'm going to need someone's assistance to kind of make a point here. Pastor Cal, can you come up for a second? Now, if you could stand right here for me, please. Okay. Now, in high school, you were a runner, right?
Yeah.
You were a runner. And typically, no running. But when you were running, so you ran long distance. Did you run any short distance things like 100 meters, stuff like that at all?
No.
Okay. But when you started, did you have to get into a certain position and wait for a gun to go off? You had to wait for the gun?
Yep.
Okay. So show us the position that you would have to get into.
Me, as a distance runner, you were just in it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Distance runner.
All right. Well, go out in the middle here. Right about there. Yeah, okay. Now, so get in your position. Okay. Now, what the position that Pastor Cal is in right now would be the same as your conception, when God actually brought you into the world that very first second, okay? And how long do you think you would wait before the gun would go off?
Just seconds.
Seconds, okay. So seconds,
When I got
Yeah.
in the starting place like this,
yeah.
oh, not even seconds.
Okay, so it was pretty quick. Good, that's good. So, well, that's right. I could have had John come up. So get back in your position. Okay, yeah, very good. Okay, now, when the gun would go off, what would your first step be? That's it. Okay, do that again. Okay, do that again. Step. Okay. Now, after that first step, you would take how many steps do you think you took altogether in all your running?
Thousands.
Thousands.
What's that? Millions.
Okay, let's and let's say if you did a long distance, now how many steps do you think you ran? How many steps did you take in one race?
Wouldn't calculate that. I have no idea.
Okay, the point has been made. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your assistance. Let's give him a big hand. Okay, yeah. Okay. The point that I wanted to make is that when Cal got into position, that was like being born. And when he took the first step, that was his entire life compared to eternity. One step is a good comparison to what our life in this life is in comparison to eternity. Because eternity then, that's why I joked about how many steps he took. We can't count how many steps. Just like we cannot count how many steps we are going to take after this life. Because they are without number. Those steps will go on and on and on and on. Forever. So you can't count them because the counting, there'd be no end to it. But think about it. Just one step And how long did it take Pastor Cal to take that first step? Not even, hardly even a second. One step compared to how many steps throughout eternity? That is mind-blowing, okay? Because in our perception of time, things seem like they go on for a while until you get to be my age, and then you think, where did the time go? And I think about the rest of my life and how much really little time I have. I've gone through 3/4 of a step so far. I've got maybe a quarter left, all right? And then I'll begin all my steps outside of this life. So really, relative to eternity, relative to heaven, this time is short. However, isn't it interesting, as short as this time is, how important it is? This step, he's got to establish himself. That first step is important because it gets him going into the right direction. Well, if he were to trip during that first step, things aren't going to go well, okay? Or if he, just doesn't take a good step. The first step's so important. And this life is so important. It establishes what eternity is going to be, right? God uses that first step, that important step, to determine where you're going to take all the rest of your steps. So it may be small, but it's mighty. It determines everything. And so, as much as we may want to downplay this life as far as time, there's no way we can downplay it as far as importance and value, right? Can I get an amen? Okay. So, what, I don't know, if you've had a chance just to think about what we've been talking about over the last year or recently, what are your thoughts on heaven? You have anything that's like, you know what? This is what I think of heaven. This is how I feel about heaven. Does anybody have anything? I just want to give you a chance, an open forum here, to kind of share some things maybe that you are thinking or feeling about heaven. I know we've covered a lot of territory, but you know what? Even though we've talked about all the, okay, heaven is our what? Yes. Heaven is our hope. And that's been our key word all here, right? Hope. And so there's nothing to be afraid of, right? There's nothing to be concerned about. I think when people think about dying, they think about not so much after they've died. It's that transition that's a little concerning. It's like, what is it like to go from this life to the next? That's a mystery. We don't have a whole lot of, we have some mystery, but Scripture has revealed to us a lot about heaven. And so when we've studied about it all year, what we got going on after this? The best is yet to come, right? Paradise, millennial kingdom, new heavens and new earth. All the crowns we've talked about, the rewards that God has for us. All the things that He's planning that we just have an inkling of. All right, somebody is playing games with me here. I was going to say, now what am I supposed to do with these, right? I know what I'm supposed to do with them. I'm not going to eat all these. All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break here, and we're just going to go like this, okay? Here we go. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Here, some in the front there, back here, okay? We got some in the front here. There you go. Oh, we didn't get way back there, did we? There we go. Okay, Anna, come on, catch. Sydney, there you go. Sarah, no, you didn't get any, did you? There you go. Over here, there we go. Yeah, ooh, nice catch. Well, I got a couple more. They're mine. Okay. All right, that was fun. That's right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm having technical difficulties here. My phone is falling off. Okay. Am I on? Am I on? We lost our clip, so yeah. Okay. Where were we? What do you got your hand up for? Oh, I thought you wanted more candy. Go ahead, go. Okay, Anna and then Morel. We got a little sidetracked there, sorry.
Yeah. When I first started taking the class, I was afraid of dying. Like you said, I didn't know what was going on. But since I've been doing the class and everything, I'm not afraid anymore because it's like I know where I'm going.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, Morel.
At least for me it does. Because just like I was saying about whether it's a hobby or it's in the Bible, whatever kind of you start to focus your interest on, that realm just continues to widen and make things bigger, and then it's just really hard to maybe it's just maybe that's not right. Maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe I feel the wrong way. Maybe this is what I want, maybe this is what God wants, and they just keep going on and on about like what you think of what you hope, what you want heaven to be like.
Yes. 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 Anybody else? Well, I think a key word here, especially what Anna was coming from, was fear. Now, what is one of the main things that God does not want us to do? To be afraid. And kind of what Morel was saying, the more I know about something, I may have less fear about it, okay? Now, when I first met Kyle back here, okay? I could have been seriously intimidated by this guy, I could have been like, oh boy, I gotta watch my step with this guy because if I don't, I might find myself, taken outside and whooped on a little bit, But the more I know about, this is just an example. I'm not saying that was he's a 10. The more I came to know about Kyle, I'm like, oh, he's not like that. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy,
Bring him cake.
What's that?
Just bring him cake.
Oh, bring him. Whoa. Well, I should have known that in the beginning. What's that? Snickers. Bring him cake. Apparently, we know what Kyle's weakness is now, is cake. So if you ever want something from Kyle, just give him some cake. So fear is a big issue here, I think. But, as a Christian, fear should be not an issue, okay? Particularly now, after all that we've talked about it. And I still harken back to when the doctor told Carol and me that there was a chance she wasn't going to make it. And when I asked her about it, I said, how do you feel about this? And she said, hey, all I know is I'm going to be in heaven. And then we're going to all be together again. And she was ready. I sure wasn't. She was. So I don't know if maybe when you get to the point where you think this could be it, maybe somehow something changes in us. It's like, let's go. I'm ready. Because if you think about it, what is there to fear if you're at the doorstep with the knowledge that you are about to stand in the presence of Christ, which is something, that's our hope. That's our blessed hope. That's what we're waiting for. So if I'm at that cusp, I'm like, let's go, you know? So I think our attitude should be such that no matter what situation we're in, no matter how old or how young we are, that we're ready. We're ready to go, you know? Especially as we continue on in history here and as things continue to crumble around us, we don't know what's ahead. So we should always be prepared. Always be prepared. Because it's our hope. Let me ask you something. Do you all, other than heaven, do you all have hopes right now? Are you hoping for something? Okay. So if you're hoping in it, are you afraid of it? Well, why would you be afraid of it? It's what you want to happen. Same thing. And that's the ultimate thing we want to happen, is to be with Jesus. So there should be no fear. Those 2 points were great. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Linda.
We were just with my cousin in Arizona, and he had a stroke and heart attack, and he actually died. And he said, I am not afraid of death anymore. And so, first of all, we do have issues with fear because Jesus said, don't fear. So it's like, help me, Lord. Help me, Lord, not to fear. And lost my train of thought. I believe the Lord will give us what it, at that moment of death, because that's one of my, like, how's it going to happen? But I believe He'll give us what we need at that time. Maybe not too much, not now, maybe not right now, but when I come to that point, or when, God forbid, Kyle comes to that point, He'll give us what we need. Is that what you experienced? That He gave you what you needed when you had to say goodbye to Carol?
I'm still trying to figure that out. You know?
That's a fear, you know.
Well, see, that's a fear. I mean, for the one who's dying, especially if they've already died once, it's like, I've already done that. Been there, done that. Let's do it again, but this time can I stay? For those who are left behind, that's a whole nother world. That's a whole nother world. And I'm still trying to figure that out, I'm not going to go into detail because I've spent hours with the Lord talking about this very same thing. But I think, and something you were saying kind of made me think too. It's like, obviously the perfect scenario is to fall asleep one night and wake up in heaven, right? It doesn't always work that way. But if you are aware of that impendingness of entering into the presence of Jesus, I don't know. It's like maybe something is happening. I don't know. I just don't know. But the most important thing is, and not only that, but here's the thing. When you fear something, what is it that you this might be a very vague question, but what is it about it that you fear? What is the thing that intimidates you most? The unknown. Very good, yeah. Lack of control. What else? Okay. Yes, excellent. How about the time factor? Are we concerned about how long that process is going to take? I think we all know people who've been through a long process and others who have, like that. Yes, Colleen.
Kind of hate to say this, and maybe I'm the only one, but
Oh, I doubt it.
I fear I won't go to heaven.
Oh. Colleen, you're going to be one of the first ones in line. We're going to be, when that trumpet sounds, we're going to be following you, okay?
Yeah, I can't imagine her not.
But Colleen, one of the important things, is, and I know you feel this way, is that it doesn't matter what the rest of us think. What matters most is what you think and how you feel. And I think what's one of the most important things, and I would encourage you and assure you that, well, the assurance of our salvation. I mean, like I said, well, like the last time I spoke, I played a song called Simple Song. God is the simplest of all because he provided for us the simplest solution. Not for him. There isn't any other God who would give himself. Our God did because he is God. And he gave himself for us and asked us to do one thing. Believe. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. And you believe. Not only do you believe, you act on that belief in ways that we don't even know about. And you are actively pursuing him in your studies and all that sort of thing. So, Colleen, all I can say is be assured. And do not fear. Do not fear. Kyle.
I think one of the things that I struggle with sometimes when it comes to this issue of my expiration date. Okay?
We all have one.
Yeah, we all have one, it's just not marked anywhere. Is the assurance that maybe I didn't measure up?
Well,
Even though I believe, sometimes, Lord, did I fail?
oh,
Did I do everything that I needed to do? It's just one of those things. I mean, when you get to our age, you look at when you look at the timeline, you have a lot less left
yes, you do.
than what you've already spent. So that comes into play because you're going to struggle with your mortality. And you wonder, Lord, how much time do I have left? And see, it comes back to that works thing. Have I been good enough to attain that heavenly hope? So to
Yeah,
speak?
yeah. And you know, we all fall short daily. And we know, okay, there again, our head knowledge doesn't always jive with our heart. And we know what the Bible teaches us. We know what it says to us. We know the promise that God has made to us is sure. But, you know, the enemy likes to throw out the stuff at us, like, oh, Sue, you know, and the knowledge of our own regrets, if you want to go so far as to say even guilt. Okay, my head says, my guilt's been removed. My sin's been thrown to the bottom of the sea. It's as if they're forgotten. It's as if when God looks at me, he sees Jesus. And I go, huh? But that's the truth. And I think it's unfortunate that many of us as born-again believers will still take things to the grave, regrets and guilt and stuff like that. And when we come into the presence of Jesus, to be honest with you, it's going to be so refreshing because Jesus is going to pour out his love on us. He does that here. But when you're standing maybe 5 feet away from him, what's that going to do? The love is just going to consume you, and all of that will be gone. But in this life, yeah, we struggle with that. I do. Yeah, Morel.
One of my favorite verses that helps me is that Ephesians 1, for it's by grace you've been saved, not by works.
Yeah, yeah. But see, we are so prone. And you know, and the world, even the churches teach this about the importance of what you do. Now, the point is that when a church teaches the importance of what you do in order to get to heaven is so heretical because it's the importance of what you do because you're going to heaven. That's the difference. Not to get to heaven, but because you know you are going to heaven, so you want to serve the one who saved you.
I feel like as Christians, what we do is more beneficial to our fellow believers and to winning over other believers, not for our salvation. Because you have to get to the cross and believe and he's there.
Exactly.
Because that's all it takes, really. But if we put so little effort on what we do, we're not thinking about it, it could lead us astray. And we have to continually be careful that we're doing the right thing. So, because if people watching us, whether we know it or not, and we have to continue to do the right thing in order for other people to follow
Yeah.
Christ like example.
Right. It's like when God saves you, he then doesn't withhold you. He doesn't want you to withhold yourself. He doesn't want you to withhold what God has given you to share with everybody else. Whether it's for a lifetime or for just a moment. If there's a situation where it just takes a moment to express God's love to someone. We have it backwards. Or the church has it backwards. The remnant church does not have it backwards. The church has it backwards. And we don't want to go in that direction. God has saved us, and he's promised us his kingdom. And he has forgiven us of everything, even though we don't always forgive ourselves. He has. Sue.
Well, in human terms, I think, I can speak for myself. We're so used to being loved, maybe in the home I was loved, and if you do this, it's our brains. I don't think we realize how much we are conditioned
Oh, yeah.
on conditions.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And
Works can be become a habit based off of how you
Yeah,
were.
to begin
how
to
you-
comprehend unconditional is
Yeah.
really challenging,
It is. Because we're not used to it in this life.
right?
Actually, there's only one who's ever done that, and that's Jesus. A couple things I wanted to point out. I'll call this number 2 because I think that's a big issue. But, and some of these are like, well, yeah, but you know, sometimes we may say yeah, but then, well, what does Lee really mean by that? Well, heaven is real. Yeah, duh. No. I mean, it's real. Okay? How many times do we fall into the trap that heaven is ethereal or kind of foggy, or, you know, you might see your loved ones coming, you know, approaching out of this fog, and you're all floating around, you know, and it's just kind of like a dream. It's dreamy, you know. That's not what it is. You remember when we did some of the little discussion on those who had near-death experiences? And some of them said that after being in the presence of Jesus and maybe even fellowshipping with some of their loved ones that had gone before them, when they came back, they said, you know what? Heaven is more real than this life. Now, obviously, that doesn't make sense to us. But to those who've experienced it, they said, no, this life now is kind of like, you know, a dream, because I've now experienced the real heaven, the real presence of Christ, and how real it is, because they experienced things that we don't experience. Their senses were magnified. They had just an awareness that they didn't have here. Why do you think a lot of them didn't want to come back? Because now they've made it. They've arrived. And Jesus says, this is just a taste. Go back and continue with what I've called you to do. Heaven is for real. Not only is it for real, but it's real. We will dwell for eternity in a reality that makes this life pale. This pales compared to the heaven's reality. I can't explain it. We'll only know once we're there. Ann, did you ever? No, Jackie.
Yeah, we look so much alike.
Yeah, I get the two of you mixed up sometimes.
I was just gonna say the other reason they wanted to stay where they were, they didn't want to go back
to this.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
The pain and everything else that goes with it, and they're perfect.
That's a great point, Jackie, because here's the thing about our reality right now. We can't imagine a reality without pain, disappointment, jealousy. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on, right? But heaven's not going to have any of that yucky stuff. So if all that yucky stuff is going to be gone, how is it going to be real? Because our reality is full of that stuff. Our heaven reality, all that stuff's going to be eliminated and replaced by the glorious promises of God, right? Whew. And the other thing. And here again, I've already said it 100 times, but I'm going to emphasize it again. It is eternal. We don't have a concept. But when you talk about heaven as being real and eternal, what more do you want? You're going to exist within a reality that far exceeds anything we can imagine, because this is all we got. And that unbelievable reality is going to be forever. There again, what do we have in this life? Temporary, okay? This life is temporary. We said at the beginning, it's short. Eternity is forever. You put those two together, and that pretty much defines heaven. The reality and the eternity of it. That goes right back to, that's my hope. What do I have to fear? I'm just trying to bring, as we get to the end of the year, these things I want to bring together here. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Did anybody have, if you looked at the booklet, did you find any questions in there that you thought were, oh yeah, that's a biggie for me? Okay, now next week, I want you to come up with at least one question from this little booklet that really hits you, because I'm going to throw mine at you. And of course, no one's going to be shocked by this. But on page 51, oh, by the way, at the end of the year, I'm going to put up a number of references that I think would be helpful. If you want to continue the study on your own, I'm going to list some references that you can gain access on your own. And I will say that after the first of the year, actually on January 1st, we are going to begin a study. You just hit off. No. We're going to begin a study, and remember I told you I was going to call it "The Worst Is Yet to Come." We're not going to call it that, okay? Even though it technically we're going to look at some things, but we're going to call it something else. And if you come January 1st, you'll find out what that is. But it's really, this study is a springboard to the next one, okay? And so we're going to look at things at a different angle. But this little book comes from Randy Alcorn's big book, this thick, and he goes into a lot more detail. These are kind of like cliff notes for some of the answers, but they're very good and they're very concise. And they get you to think, okay? Now, I'm just going to tell you which question is the one that in the book, what do you do? What did I do? I went to the beginning, I went to the table of contents, because the second half of the book is all about questions people have about heaven. So I went to that and I said, okay, where's the one I want to read? There it is. And so I went to it. Will there be marriage and family in heaven? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Will there be marriage and family in heaven? What's that? No marriage. You seem awfully thrilled about that, Shar. Boy, I can't wait. I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you. I think you all know that I struggle with that one. And since we only have 1 minute left, I'm not going to go into detail right now. But that's the first one we're going to look at next week, okay? Will there be heaven? Or will there be marriage and family in heaven? Take a look at that one, okay? Let's discuss it next week, and then take a look at the rest of them and see if any of them jump out, and we'll look at those too, okay? But the whole point is, and that's one of the things that not just Randy Alcorn, but, bless you, David Jeremiah, Jeffress, what's his first name? Grant. Is it Grant? Grant Jeffress? No, Robert Jeffress. I'm sorry, Robert Jeffress.